A reading from the book of the prophet Isaiah. See my servant prosper. He shall be raised high and greatly exalted. Even as many were amazed at him, so marred was his look beyond human semblance, and his appearance beyond that of the sons of man. So shall he startle many nations. Because of him kings shall stand speechless. For those who have not been told shall see. Those who have not heard shall ponder it. Who would believe what we have heard? To whom has the arm of the Lord been revealed? He grew up like a sapling before him, like a shoot from the parched earth. There was in him no stately bearing to make of us look at him, nor appearance that would attract us to him. He was spurned, avoided by people, a man of suffering, accustomed to infirmity, one of those from whom people hid their faces, spurned and held in no esteem. Yet it was our infirmities that he bore, our sufferings he endured, while we thought of him as stricken, as one smitten by God and afflicted. But he was pierced for our offenses, crushed for our sins. Upon him was the chastisement that makes us whole. By his stripes we were healed. We had all gone astray like sheep, each following his own way, but the Lord laid upon him the guilt of all. Though he was harshly treated, he submitted and opened not his mouth. Like a lamb led to the slaughter, or a sheep before the shearers, he was silent and opened not his mouth. Oppressed and condemned, he was taken away. And who would have thought any more of his destiny? When he was cut off from the land of the living and smitten for the sins of his people, a grave was assigned him among the wicked, and a burial place with evildoers, though he had done no wrong, nor spoken any falsehood. But the Lord was pleased to crush him in infirmity. If he gives his life as an offering for sin, he shall see his descendants in a long life, and the will of the Lord shall be accomplished through him. Because of his affliction, he shall see the light and fullness of days. Through his suffering, my servant shall justify many, and their guilt he shall bear. Therefore, I will give him his portion among the great, and he shall divide the spoils with the Almighty. Because he surrendered himself to death, was counted among the wicked, and he shall take away the sins of many, win pardon for their offenses. A few minutes ago, I just gave a Holy Thursday homily, and now I'm doing Good Friday. And this is not my way. As you know, I take one homily at a time, and I'm doing 3 in a row. I don't chew gum and stand on my foot at the same time. I'm not capable of that, so please bear with me. As we celebrate Good Friday, and I say celebrate, we recognize a death that's important to us all, the death of Jesus Christ. I want to make something quite clear because of this pandemic right now, because people are really entering into something that I think they should avoid. I've heard that this pandemic is God's vengeance upon us. It's his punishment upon us. I want you to think for a moment, please, my dear Catholic people, because that understanding of punishment upon Jesus Christ or punishment upon us comes from Martin Luther. He had a belief of the cross that Jesus was punished for us. That is false and not Catholic in our understanding of why we suffer. It ties somewhat to the Old Covenant, that's true. But I want you to remember that I just read from 2nd Isaiah, the second part of the book of Isaiah. And you know what? We know that Jesus identified more with this prophet probably than any other. And you can see why by just going back and read those very words that I just read to you from the book of Isaiah. He suffered for us. I spoke yesterday, or a few minutes ago, about sacrificial love. And that's what this day is about, Good Friday. That Jesus dies for us in order to recognize that there has to be a certain aspect of justice that has to be restored, an order that has to be restored. And why? Because we can't restore it ourselves. Was this pandemic inevitable? No, it wasn't. And that's why refrain from saying God is punishing us. If we had been alert, if we had been united as a world, we could have probably done something to squash this a lot sooner. But what's happening? Have you noticed? A lot of finger pointing already. And we're not even out of this mess yet. And it is a mess, isn't it? And it's not the first mess in the history of this world. It's terrible, but we're fickle. And in a certain sense, I say we celebrate his death because we have a God that suffers. We have a God that dies. We pull him down to our level. And that's the sad reality of who we are. And so, at the Easter Vigil, a great song is sung called The Exalted. It's one of the most ancient songs of the Catholic Church. And in it, you'll hear the words, "O happy fault that gained for us so great a Redeemer." Indeed, that's what this is about, this day of Good Friday. Our faults brought forth a great Redeemer. Our faults brought forth God's love. And as we sacrifice in many ways, whether you be a nurse, a physician, a clerk, taking money at a store, grocery store, a first responder, a police or fireman. We can go on and on with the list of people who are risking their lives. We hope that they understand this suffering as something that can be prayerful, that can be uplifting, that can point to a virtue that I think we've lost understanding of. It's called hope, and it's a true virtue. And that virtue is essential for us because if we do not have that virtue, we lose faith. We become cynical. We begin to look at this whole reality of what's going on and we just kind of just say, I'm going to just take care of myself. I'm just going to hunker down. The hell with anybody else. And that's what's sad about this day, because there was one who truly did die alone. I've heard stories about people who are dying alone in hospitals, but my dear people, they are not dying alone. Only one person in the history of humanity died alone. His name was Jesus Christ. And in that moment, he let go of everything. He let go, as St. Paul said, of the divinity. He let go in order that we could understand a love that's everlasting. And so we celebrate his death. This cross, which oftentimes you'll see without his body upon it, has no meaning without that body upon it. And there are bodies right now lining up in refrigerator cars in New York or in morgues here in Flint. There are bodies that we have to revere and sacredly take care of. And you know what? The burial ceremonies right now are losing certain emphasis. But you know what? It was already happening before this moment. I don't know how many times, as pastor, I've had a good Catholic here who lived their life, who was at church every Sunday. And when they've died, nobody calls me. Nobody tells me from their family that they've died. They forget what this person was about. They forget that their body deserves this funeral. They forget what Jesus did for us all. And so there's no mass. There's no recognition. Maybe once in a while they might show them in a funeral home and then go bury them. Sometimes they don't even do that. Quick cremation, goodbye. Death is a reverential reality because of this day. Death is something we are not to be fearful of. And so today we celebrate his death so that we can die. Praise be Jesus Christ, now and forever.
Into your hands I commend my spirit. Into your hands I commend my spirit. In you, O Lord, I take refuge. Let me never be put to shame. Into your hands I commend my spirit. It is you who will redeem me, Lord. Eli, Eli, lama sabachthani. Into your hands I commend my spirit. Into your hands I commend my spirit. In the face of all my foes, I am a reproach, an object of scorn to my neighbors, and of the fear to my friends. Eli, Eli, lama sabachthani. Into your hands I commend my spirit. Into your hands I commend my spirit. Those who see me in the street run far away from me. I am like the dead, forgotten by all, like a thing thrown away. Eli, Eli, lama sabachthani. Into your hands I commend my spirit. Into your hands I commend my spirit. But as for me, I trust in you, Lord. I say, you are my God. My life is in your hands. Deliver me from the hands of those who hate me. Eli, Eli, lama sabachthani. Into your hands I commend my spirit. Into your hands I commend my spirit. Let your face shine upon your servant. Save me in your love. Be strong. Let your heart take courage.